Hello everyone and welcome back to Milo Farms. Well, today we're going to be doing another project on the Phazers. These are the same two Phazers that were in the other videos that I posted before. They're 2007 Phazer mountain lights. And today we are going to be installing these Hygear suspension bushings. They go on the torsion springs on the rear of the skid. And what they do, as you can see in this picture, I don't think this is actually a Phazer necessarily. The light's kind of bad here, but what it does is on the original, they have these little tiny bushings in the middle of the torsion spring, and that replaces that bushing with this larger bushing, which, as you can see in this picture, it squares up the spring, puts a little bit more preload on it, and it works better for a heavier rider and just takes away some of the suspension sag and just kind of squares everything up with those springs. As you can see, this spring sits kind of cockeyed, and mine are doing the same thing. So this is the packaging here, kind of how it comes. I got two different ones from two different suppliers because they were running out. So one of the part numbers is right here that it shows. So you can see there's the part number that's on the top of the bag. You may be able to find it by. Then there's the smaller part number below. And then also, if Western Power Sports still has them, there is the Western Power Sports number as well. In the package, you've got the two bushings. And of course, you've also got a sticker there as well. Got to have a sticker. Okay, so we've got the Phazer into the shop here. And we've got it on a come-along, hooked up to the truss here, the lower cord of the truss. Got it lifted about 6 inches off the ground on the skid here. I went ahead and I lowered the tension on the setting right here for the suspension stiffness to soft on both sides. And then the first thing we're going to want to do is to release the tension on both of these torsion springs. So the easiest way I found to do this is to grab this plastic piece right here that is just behind the idler wheel and snap it forward, or slide it forward like that, so it's out of the way. Then we're going to grab this torsion spring and we're going to lift it up over the top of this wheel, bring it out, and then it's going to swing all the way down through here and then fall off of the adjuster right here. That's going to take the tension off. These springs, though they don't seem like they have a lot of tension on them, have a ton of pressure. So I'm going to set the phone down and we'll give that a try. So the spring is loose and we've got it down, and this is the reason right here that we took the sled up in the air 6 inches so this can spin around to be able to release from the adjuster here. Now we're going to go do the same thing on the other side. So now we're going to direct our attention up to this bolt right here, and on the back side of it is a large nut. I've heard these are pretty difficult to get off on some occasions, so we're going to give that a try. Okay, so that bolt that went in that hole right there was much tighter than I'd suspected. So what I had to do is I used the impact wrench and a socket, put a little bit of PB blaster on it, got it loosened up, and then I had to lower the sled down so it's sitting on the floor with the bottom of the track, but the weight of the frame of the sled is still supported by the come-along from the ceiling. And then I went ahead and loosened this bolt right here to be able to get this spline off. I also sprayed that spline with some PB blaster as well. So I'm going to go ahead and do the other side, then we're going to jack the sled up just a tiny bit away from the skid, and then we're going to get that bushing replaced, and then we're going to put it back together. Okay, so we removed this piece right here from the end of the spline, and the spline has right there a little timing mark on it, and you want to make sure that timing mark is lined up with that timing mark when you put it back together. Then we'll go ahead and take the spring off, set it aside, and then take this bushing off. This bushing is cone-shaped inside, so it goes all the way down onto this shaft right here when it goes back together. So what we're going to do is the reverse of this to put this back together. So there's the new one put on, the new bushing. You can see the size difference here between the two. You can also see how scuffed up and worn out this one is on the bottom. So it's already very thin, and then when it's worn out like this on the bottom, it's even thinner, which puts the spring more off center yet. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna put the spring back on. While I'm in there, I'm gonna lubricate everything as best I can, just with a little WD-40 just for good measure. And then we're gonna go ahead and put it all back together in the same order we took it off. We're gonna line up this bolt here, and then we're gonna use the come along and lower the sled back down until we can get that to line up. I'm gonna go ahead and put anti-seize on everything when I put it back together so it's not stuck like it was. And then once it's back together, we'll see how the thing compares sag-wise. And we'll be back in a little bit. So we're into just a little bit of a problem getting this back together. What I found was, since there's no spring tension on this section of the suspension, it tried to sag on me so it wouldn't line up with the hole completely when I put it back together. So what I did is I just used a little bottle jack right down in here, and I jacked it up with the bottle jack, which pushed it back into place, and I think from now I can just work that bolt right in there where it goes. Okay, so we're all back together. We got this bolt in, it's all anti-seized back together, and we put anti-seize on all the other points when we put it back together. I know a lot of this stuff in the manual and everything says to put Loctite or something on it, but I've never had good luck with Loctite and snowmobile things. I always find that just checking everything once a year seems to be just fine, and it doesn't result in things getting stuck where you can't get them apart. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to reset the torsion springs back to their position. So we're going to put the setting back into soft and latch the spring right in there. Now we have the spring pointed down like that. We're going to bring the spring up and lay it right behind here, right into that channel. Lay it right into this crack right here. Then we're going to just flip this piece back up and it will snap into place. And there it is, back into place. As you can see right here, it's back into place. And on top here, we have it on soft. Okay, so we are all back together. Got everything put back underneath. Removed the bottle jack. And I got the spring tension. I started with it on low, and it still didn't seem, or on soft, I guess it would be. It still seemed about like it was before, with just a little bit stiffer possibly. But I went ahead and put it back to the medium, and it definitely made an improvement. I wasn't looking with this for some extreme improvement. I was just looking to kind of square everything up just a little bit and make things a little straighter on those torsion springs. My thought being it might last a little bit longer, and definitely getting those worn bushings out of there was going to make somewhat of a difference, keeping everything a little more square. So real happy with them so far. We're going to take them up this weekend and give them a try and see how they work. So hope everybody enjoyed the video. Please like, comment, subscribe. We'll see you next time at Milo Farms.